Yeah, hey, I'm the Sports Addict. Welcome to the zone. Breaking down the game like a king on the throne.
Going on, everyone? Welcome back to Sports Addict Podcast. This is episode 2. We are officially in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. In today's episode, it's all about recapping what we just saw this past weekend and yesterday, ranking the quarterbacks that are left, ranking the coaches that are left, and then closing it out with my predictions. No hot takes, just for clicks, just real football talk. Let's get into it. All right, take a little bit of a recap what happened in Wild Card Weekend. First game was the Rams visiting the Carolina Panthers. The Rams were the favorite, guys. But the Panthers put up a good fight. They gave the Rams a little bit of a scare. But at the end, Sean McVay and company found a way to win against the Panthers and advance to the divisional round. Game 2 was between the Bears. Green Bay visiting the Chicago Bears. Green Bay at Bears. Green Bay had a big lead for the third time. This was their third meeting. They played obviously in the regular season since they're divisional rivals. And the Packers choked again. And the Bears somehow made another comeback for the third time. Winning their first playoffs since 2011. So huge win for the Bears against eliminating one of their NFC North rivals. So that then we had Sunday's game. Bills visiting the Jaguars. Josh Allen, put that superhero cap on and led his Buffalo Bills to victory and made them, got him to the divisional round. Then on the other side, we have my Niners, Bang Bang Niner Gang versus the Eagles, visiting the Eagles. Honestly, with all the injuries, I didn't know what to expect with the Niners, with my Niners, because I didn't think we were going to somehow survive in that hostile environment, especially with all those injuries. Then we lose Kittle during the game. That was a big loss, but somehow we found a way to win. I feel like the Eagles went for it too many times on fourth down. Miscues were another issue. I mean, going for it on fourth down probably is considered a miscue because they went for it a couple of times, missed the extra point. A.J. Brown dropped that pass, arguing with Sirianni, and stuff like that. So it's like a lot of things went wrong with the Eagles, even though they were healthier. But the Niners' mentality was, we don't have nothing else to lose. We have all these injuries. Might as well go out there and see what happens. And they found a way to win and stuff. Then the last game of Sunday, wild card weekend, was the Patriots versus the Chargers. Justin Herbert versus the MVP winner, in my opinion, Drake May. Drake I think, made a few mistakes, but his defense carried him a little. But on the other side, Justin Herbert, he had an injured hand, and the Chargers just couldn't find, the end zone, basically, because they couldn't. The last play they had chance to, win the game and stuff, but they weren't able to somehow find a way to score against that Patriots defense, and stuff. Then on the other side, we had the, you know, Texans visiting the Steelers. I didn't watch the game, but I saw that it was a blowout. I kind of had the Texans winning because the way the Steelers won, you know, they won because the Ravens missed a field goal. They were already, not gonna make the playoffs. It wasn't Rodgers' fault, but during that last game of the regular season against the Ravens, guys. So it was like, they're not coming into the playoffs as one of the strongest teams. You know, were a lot better team. Even though the Steelers got DK Metcalf, it didn't make a difference. So that's the recap, you guys, of the NFL wildcard weekend. So I'll get into now ranking the quarterbacks that are left. Okay, we're starting with the NFC. Bang Bang Niner Gang. Shout out to all my Niner fans like myself. We made to the divisional round. We'll see what happens on Saturday. Uh, all right, the rankings. Matthew Stafford, I have him at one. Stafford still the most battle-tested quarterback left in the NFC. Super Bowl experience, elite arm talent, and the ability to make big throws under pressure separate him from the rest. When the moment gets tight, he's the quarterback I trust the most. Honestly, he's proven it. He won a Super Bowl. He's the only quarterback from left in the NFC that has Super Bowl experience, has won the Super Bowl. He's proven that he can win big games. Then we second I have Purdy. Purdy continues to prove he belongs. He's efficient. He's calm, rarely rattled in big moment. While he benefits from a strong system, his decision making composed keep him firmly at number two, in my opinion. Three, here's the reason why I put Darnold at three. Darnold has a solid postseason run, but consistently still a question. He's playing confident football right now, yet hasn't shown the same playoff resume or trust level as Stafford or Purdy. Darnold hasn't won. Remember what happened with Minnesota? He had all those weapons and couldn't get the job done. I know this is a whole different team, the Seattle Seahawks, but he hasn't proven that he can take the team, to the next level, to an NFC championship game, or better yet, Super Bowl. For Williams has elite talent and massive future, but as a young quarterback, playoff experience matters. This stage is a learning curve, and while the upside is huge, he's still the least proven of the group. Yes, he's the least proven of the group, but he has a good defense that can help him out. But can he get the job done again? I know he's coming in motivated. He eliminated, the Packers' biggest rival, which is the Green Bay Packers. So he's coming in motivated, but can that motivation carry on to the divisional round when he's playing against an experienced quarterback and Super Bowl winning quarterback Matthew Stafford and MVP candidate? So we'll see. We'll see. Then we're on the AFC side. Josh Allen won. Josh Allen is the clear number one. His combination of arm strength, mobility, fearlessness makes him the most dangerous quarterback left in the AFC. He can take over a game at any moment. Drake May has exceeded expectations. He's shown poise beyond his years, strong command of the offense, and the ability to respond under pressure. Right now, his momentum earns him the number two spot. I mean, because Josh Allen, it's now or never. I feel like Josh Allen had to prove that he can take the Bills to the next level. Greg May is like, I put him at two because he's the, you know, MVP in my opinion. He's going to win the MVP. But what I saw from him on Sunday, that he made a couple of mistakes, but his defense carried him a little. But, he'll learn from this and get better. But Josh Allen is the one who has more experience. Then three, CJ Stroud. Stroud is incredibly talented and polished, but compared to Allen and May in this playoff run, he hasn't been quite as decisive in critical moments. Still a franchise quarterback, just ranked third right now. I mean, he played against a struggling Steelers. That, like I said, they were supposed to be eliminated. But I feel like if the Ravens would have played, I think probably the Ravens would have beat the Texans. But I don't know what to expect against CJ Stroud, and stuff. CJ Stroud is playing against the Patriots, defense. So I don't know how he'll do against that defense. For Bo Nix has played with confidence and toughness, but playoff football exposes mistakes quickly. He's grown, learning, and competing. But among this group, he has the least playoff trust at this stage. We haven't seen Bo Nix play in the playoff stage, so we don't know how he will play. Then you know how they had, a week off, a bye week. We don't know how rusty Bo Nix is, and he doesn't have the experience like the other three quarterbacks. So that's why I put him at fourth. But he can prove things. He can prove people wrong in the playoff. This is where you make your legacy. You build a legacy basically. Now let's talk about the coaches. One, Sean McVay. McVay still the standard in the NFC. His playoffs experience, offense creativity, and ability to adjust mid-game put him at number one when the pressure is on. His teams are prepared and disciplined. Two, Shanahan. I mean, put Shanahan two because all the injuries, the Niners have gotten all this season, and now we lose Kittle in the playoffs. Well, we were in the divisional round. Shanahan's offensive mind is elite. His game plans are detailed and matchup driven. He constantly puts his players in position to succeed. The only thing keeping him from number one is postseason inconsistency in the big moments. We all know that. Three, Mike McDonald from the Seahawks. McDonald has impressed quickly. His defense background shows up in how his team stays competitive and structure, still building his player's resume, but clearly trending in the right direction. He's done a great job in two seasons. Then four, Ben Johnson, even without a long head coaching playoff history. Johnson impacts on undeniable. Creative play calling and modern scheme keeps defense guessing, but play approaches a different test, and that's why he's fourth for now. I know he beat the Green Bay Packers on Saturday, but he'll be facing a more experienced, team in coaching Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. Now we're going on the AFC side. Hold on, let me find it. Oh, here it is. One, Sean Payton, because he has experience. He's a, he's a Super Bowl winning head coach with the Saints of years ago. Sean Payton's experience in football keeps separating him from the rest. He understands situational football better than almost everyone left and knows how to guide a team through playoff pressure. Then we had two Sean McDermott from the Bills. McDermott constantly has Buffalo ready to compete. His defense mindset and leadership keeps the Bills in contention year after year. The only question is execution in late in playoff game. He executes. Always fails. When the game's on the line, even though he has Josh Allen. Then we're going three, Mike Vrabel. Vrabel's a tough nonsense coach who drives in physical, high pressure games. His teams are disciplined, relentless, which is why he lands on number three. D'Amico Ryan has a bright future and is already doing impressive work. But compared to the others, he's still building playoff experience. The foundation is there. This rankings this rank is about timing, not talent. So there you go, guys. That's the ranking. And before I finish, I like to keep my podcast short. Just focus on certain things. This should have been uploaded Monday, but Texans Steelers game, I had to win until it was over. So now we're almost to the finish line, y'all. So time for my predictions. So Saturday, let me see who's out or the schedule. I know Saturday Seahawks versus Niners, but I don't remember the rest. Let me see if they already have it. Okay, they do have it already. Good. Bills At Broncos, who do I take at Bills versus Broncos? On the Broncos side, I'll say I'll break it down. Broncos have Bo Nix at quarterback. They have an offense that can score points, can move the ball. But let's talk. Their defense is great. Buffalo, has Josh Allen who needs to put that Superman cape on to make it to the AFC. Their defense has question marks. They haven't been that great. Honestly, I want to see the Broncos take this. Even though Bo Nix doesn't have experience, his defense will help him a lot. But I won't. The Bills have a chance, but Josh Allen, like I said, have to put that Superman cap on and carry his team to the AFC Championship game. And that defense, that defense needs to play better and stop Bo Nix. That's why I have the Broncos. Then we have what other? Then we have Niners at Seahawks. We're without George Kittle. This is a tough one because I'm a Niner fan. But man, we're going back to a hostile environment, which is Seattle. This is the third time against Seattle. We both won one game each. Niners beat the Seahawks in Seattle in week one. Seattle beat us in Levi Stadium, week 18. So I don't know what to expect. We already took out the Super Bowl reigning champs. 5-1 in my predictions in the wild card. But this time with the Niners, I feel like we don't have nothing else to lose. We're coming in motivated. We took out, you know, the reigning Super Bowl champs, the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to another hostile environment, without George Kittle. But we beat the Seahawks without George Kittle in week one. But but Seahawks are still a strong team. But the question mark is Sam Darnold, can he win a playoff game? I mean, McDonald's gonna have his defense playing well. This is the third time, playing against the Niners, Yeah, yeah, Mike McDonald's gonna have the defense playing well. This is the third time, it was a shout out game, you know, in week 18. So, but this is a whole different ball game, and stuff. So I take the Niners over the Seahawks in this one. But, it's going to be a tough game, third matchup. Then we have the Patriots and Texans. I'll take the Patriots because I think Drake May is the MVP in my opinion. Mike Verbal has that defense playing well. He has the Patriots way. He has the Patriots DNA. He has that Patriots winning way. He knows how to win big games. He has that Patriots way. And I feel like the Patriots will be back in the AFC Championship. I feel like it's going to be a defensive matchup, but I feel like the Patriots will find a way. Like I said, Mike Verbal has that Patriots DNA, the winning DNA. So that's why I'll take the Patriots. And then we have the Rams versus Bears. I want to say the Rams, and it all comes down to Sean McVay. He has experience in these games. Matthew Stafford, candidate for the MVP, Super Bowl winning quarterback, has experience in these games. The Bears have that defense that will keep them alive most of the game. They'll stay alive with that defense. If they can stop the Rams' offense. And how well will Williams play? That's the question. He already is motivated because he already eliminated the Bears' biggest rival. Helped the Bears win their first playoff win since 2011. So, but I feel like the Rams have more experience, so I'm taking the Rams. So it's gonna be, if my picks are right, it's gonna be Broncos, Patriots visiting the Broncos in the AFC Championship game. And if my NFC prediction is right, Niners will be visiting our second home, SoFi Stadium, against the Rams for the NFC Championship game. So, what do you guys think about my picks, my ranking? Leave your guys' comments down below. And that's it for this podcast episode. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you are notified of episode 3 of Sports Addict Podcast. And I will end it with, like the great Kobe Bryant said, Mamba out. In this case, it's Sports Addict Podcast out. Until next time.
Yeah. Sports Addict. We out of here. But we never stop grinding now. I'm a sports addict. I'm the